PHNX Wildcats podcast. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right. Fortunate enough to be joined by Jason Scheer. We have Jacob Franklin. We have a lot to get to today, and we are going to hear from, let's see here. Who are we going to hear from? We're going to hear from Noah Fifita. We are going to hear from, let's see here. We will also hear from Gunnar Maldonado, Kenny Dillingham, perhaps, and some other ones as well. But, of course, Scheer, this was an absolutely awesome Big 12 Media Day. Listen, I mean, sure, it wasn't without its hitches and stuff, but this was a conference, and we're going to hear from Brent Yormark here in a second. But this is a guy that clearly gets it. It feels like a conference. Its best days are ahead of him, and it feels like he's got some tricks up his sleeves, my friend.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun meeting all the people and hearing all the coaches and stuff like that. But obviously, the highlight was Yormark and meeting him for the first time and seeing him speak in person for the first time, and he just kind of exudes confidence, like what you know. And I said it before, like I don't know if everything he says is going to come true, but you sure believe it's going to come true. Like he does a very good job of saying, "This is my vision. This is what we're going to do." He dropped some hints that expansion is still on the table and behind the scenes, and just a really confident guy, and you feel comfortable in the direction of the conference.
All right, we got to give a big shout out to Shane Diefenbach and Eric Ruby behind the scenes making all of this work. Now, let's talk about Yormark, then we're going to go backwards. By the way, we will play my apology to Gunnar Maldonado. He very much deserves it. We run from nothing on the PHNX Wildcats show, and we will hear from, obviously, Kenny Dillingham as well. And we will also hear from Noah Fifita talking about everything Noah Fifita. But with Brett Yormark, I think the thing that really just kind of really... he is a dude that just gets it. When you watch him, you can tell that he's working on something else. He's talking about where that next step is, where exactly we're going to go from here. So why don't we play this? We got about 3 or 4 minutes of Brett Yormark, and then I want to come back and I want to get everybody's thoughts on this. The great Brett Yormark, Big 12 commissioner. Brett, Arizona fans have had you on their mind for a long time, and this conference going in here, especially with the fanfare when it comes to basketball, the way that the fan bases are engaged, feels like a natural fit. Can you talk a little bit about Arizona and what you just kind of saw and what made them appetizing?
Well, listen, we're excited to have Arizona. I mean, they were on the top of the list, when we were thinking about realignment last summer. Became pretty friendly with Bobby Robbins. It was important for me to understand the culture that exists at Arizona, but obviously it's a perfect fit. Bobby knows, and so does the school. They're very familiar with our conference. There's been a lot of collaborations amongst the schools, basketball wise. I mean, right. they made us so much stronger. Football, you guys are coming off a great season, a great win in the Alamo Bowl. In fact, I was there.
Right.
And you make us stronger in Olympic sports. So, I mean, the package has been fantastic. I've been spending quite a bit of time in Arizona. Look forward to being there in the fall for sure for some college football weekends.
Definitely not right now.
No, not there, not right now.
Too hot.
I mean, Dallas is hot and humid. This place is hot.
Right.
But we're excited about the Four Corners, generally speaking. And we're excited about where this conference is going as a 16-team league for the first time.
Well, you're speaking my love language up there, talking about the analytics between social media and the growth of the conference and seeing things in a different way. You talked about the type of investment that you want to make in student athletes across the board and the innovative ways that you can do that. Can you point to maybe a few unique wrinkles that you have talked to schools about to try to provide student athletes outside of just like obviously the NIL stuff?
Well, listen, I think we need to be a support system for student athletes. I mentioned earlier we established a health and well-being advisory group this year, which was made up of student athletes and subject matter experts on campus. We're doubling down on storytelling. I think that's critically important as student athletes build their brands. They need someone to help distribute that story.
Right.
And there are so many human interest stories on every campus in our conference that need to be told. And we want to be advocates of that at the conference level. We're also going to be working with ESPN and Fox to still tell more stories about our student athletes and give them the platform that they deserve. And one of the reasons, candidly, that I went early with ESPN and Fox was I felt it was critically important not only to stabilize the conference, but to give our student athletes the biggest stage possible so they could become the best version of themselves. So it's a combination of a lot of things. There's not a crystal ball there, but we're doubling down in all the right areas, and we think it's the right thing to do because at the end of the day, at the core of why we're here, it's the student athlete.
And then lastly, when it comes to basketball, you said that there's another level that you think you can reach by having the best basketball conference in the country, with so many brand names. What is that next step then, because everybody talks about football, but basketball does seem to be a little bit underrated in the grand scheme of
Listen,
things.
basketball is growing.
Yeah.
It's a global sport. You see what's happening with the NBA and their media rights deal. I want to position ourselves in the best way possible for that next TV cycle.
Right.
And everything we do now sets us up for that moment. I've said before, I do look at the conference very holistically. I think we're getting better at football, and we're continuing to invest there. I think we're the number one basketball conference in America, and we just got stronger, both men's and women's.
Right.
And when you think about Olympic sports, we got stronger. And I think all of that in combination will put us in a enviable position when we go back into the market in 30. And given what we did in our new TV deal, which starts next year, we have optionality on the back end.
Right.
We can go back and renew as a package, or we can bifurcate football and basketball and see what the value of basketball is specifically. So I'm excited for that.
Right.
And we've got great brands and we have up and coming brands too. So I expect us to be very strong in all sports when we go back into the marketplace.
You provided yourself flexibility there. You're here in Vegas. Obviously, you agreed to keep the basketball tournament in Kansas City. Is Vegas going to be a part of the program in some way, shape, or form, whether it be football, basketball, or any other sports moving
I'd
forward?
like it to become. Yesterday I met with the chair of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. I reinforced and reaffirmed our commitment to the marketplace.
Right.
I think we need to be here for all the right reasons. And even before realignment occurred, I'd always said that we needed to be in Vegas. It's the entertainment and sports capital of the world. And when you think about our conference and how we're weaving in entertainment and music to tell our story, it's critical that we're here. And to the extent that there's opportunities for us, we're going to pursue them.
He is Brent Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner, one of the most popular people in Tucson, Arizona. Brett, I kid you not, if I speak for Tucson, we're excited to be part of the conference.
Absolutely.
We're excited to be under your leadership.
I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you.
He's Brett Yormark. Dude, that is a guy that just gets it. I'm sorry. I might have very low expectations, which I do from having these years of so much beta leadership from the top of the conference where everything was just reacting. I love how he said that, we wanted to make our deal very early with the national media folks so we could get some solidarity there. We have a little bit of an opening, and he jumped the line of the Pac-12. I'm also very intrigued by what he said about basketball, because he said many, many times that he believes that basketball is an underrated entity. I totally agree with him. And there's been rumors about adding basketball only there to see what it really is. I do believe, Scheer, that when it comes down to it, we're going to find out that basketball is undervalued in all of this stuff. And if there's going to be one person that's going to prove that, it's going to be Brett Yormark.
It's funny because when he started out, he's been adamant since the beginning that there's a market for basketball, and people in the media and elsewhere were like, no, there's no market. Football's the money. And all of a sudden you start to look at the money and it's like, well, wait a second. Maybe there is a market, and now there is a market, and Yormark's ahead of the game.
Right.
And so, like, again, it goes back to what we said, like what this guy says happens. And they're absolutely going to run with the fact, and it is a fact, that this is the best basketball conference in the country. And they are going to promote it just like any other conference would promote football. He's going to promote basketball in a similar fashion.
And what I never understood about anything was kind of this numbskull mentality that, oh, it's just football and it's everything else. Well, I don't know if you notice or not, but college basketball runs March. I mean, you look at the inventory. Then guess what? From about December through April or whatever, your primetime slots, those are all college basketball. So this whole idea to me that, well, basketball is just kind of tiddlywinks. Yes, football is the big deal. I get all of that. But when you have the best basketball conference in the country, that is something that I don't think that you can minimize. Getting Arizona in there is a big part of it. I also like very much about how he clearly knew about Arizona. And he was talking with me a little bit off record about the most important thing when he was courting these schools. And I remember Dave telling me some of this as well, is that he needed to know, what made schools tick. Some schools are just a little bit differently. Obviously, you're not going to approach Utah with the same manner that you're going to approach in Arizona because of, basketball, football, etc. But he said when he kept coming back to with Arizona, he said the fan base is what I kept coming back to. The fan base felt like it very much fit into the Big 12, and it was just a natural fit, something that if you took a little bit of time to look at, you would figure out very quickly that was the case, Scheer.
Yeah, it's interesting. Pac-12 had kind of a hoity-toity feeling, right? Like there were schools in the Pac-12 that felt they were clearly better than other schools. The UCLAs and USCs of the world felt like they would have nothing to do with the Arizona State. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Berkeley wanted no part. That was not happening in the Big 12.
Right.
Like it was. I agree with you. Like it felt like a better cultural fit, and we said that to other reporters. Like it felt comfortable, right? Like there wasn't. Everyone was complimentary. Everyone kind of fit. The fans have been awesome. Like the fans were great on social media all week. They're like, welcome to the Big 12. Was and the Pac-12. It's a different topic, kind of. But the fall of the Pac-12 was arrogance.
Yes,
I'll always say that it was the arrogance of the conference, the presidents, etc. That arrogance does not exist in the Big 12. The Big 12 feels more like a family of sorts, right? Like Arizona belongs in the Big 12.
It feels like the People's Conference. I mean, it really does. Now let's look at a little bit of something else that I thought was very fascinating by what he said as well, and that and the kind of the speculation a little bit behind the scenes. And listen, if Florida State and Miami hit the open market and the SEC decides that they don't want them, guess what's going to happen? They are going to end up in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely what he is aiming for. And if they end up in the Big 12, it becomes, even from a football perspective, it becomes impossible to box out. You can't, because you've got already really good football brands, and then you're adding 2 of the 10 most iconic brands in college football history. That is definitely a thing that is being bandied about and is real.
Yeah, the thing is also like there's a real chance if you're in the SEC, why would you want to add a Florida State or a Clemson to your conference that is taking, like if you're in Alabama, because now you have another school that could very well take a playoff spot.
Right.
And so that's why the SEC wants the increase. Remember, Yormark was asked, the SEC and Big Ten are behind the scenes trying to get guaranteed amount of playoff spots, basically.
Right.
For that, right? So if you're Alabama or Georgia, you're like, maybe I don't want Clemson. And then you go to the Big Ten, and maybe that's just not a great cultural fit. And the Big 12, meanwhile, saying, oh, yeah, we'll take Clemson. We'll take Florida State. Hey, Miami, what are you guys up to?
Yeah.
This is a very real possibility. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't imminent. This thing is going to probably take years to play out with the court cases and all that. But this is real. Like, there has been discussions, very, very soft discussions about what happens down the road with different possibilities.
And what he's been able to do, just like he did with the Corner 4 schools, he's been able to lay the land. So when and if that happens, he's going to be totally prepared. He's not going to be stuck with, he's not going to be stuck having no idea what's going on. He is going to be prepared for that. That was another thing that I thought was incredibly impressive about just the whole ensemble. Now, we're going to talk throughout the week. We're going to talk about our favorite mascots in the Big 12, my friends, because Jay made a really big impression on Scheer. Scheer and Jay became friends. And then Wilbur is easily the best mascot going, but that UCF thing is really cool as well. I like the UCF thing. And
a lot of guns too. I noticed this. A lot of guns.
Yes, many guns. Many guns. Not just the ones that we were carrying around in our arms.
Hey-o.
Okay, now let's get back to a little bit of Arizona football. Listen, Noah Fifita. When it comes to Noah Fifita, I've been telling people this for a long time. It really is amazing what he is able to do because, again, he is about a 5'7" quarterback, and he throws the ball around. But the thing about him, though, is just the coolness in which he conducts himself. He has a very, very simple approach to football, and it's easy to see why players want to play with him. He also gave a little bit of a heads up as to somebody that might be, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a breakout player that Scheer and I have been disagreeing on. Why don't we hear from Noah Fifita, if possible, Jacob Franklin? Yeah. All right. Well, guess we're still working on that. We will get back to that video, but to talk about a little bit about what Noah Fifita was able to do and what he was talking about was his big thing was that he knew that he wanted he knew that he kind of wanted to stay at the University of Arizona. He wanted to be the player that, he liked it. He liked being here. No, it wasn't Jacob. He wanted to be there. He wanted to be able to, show that there was a camaraderie involved, and they liked being here. And he said that from day one. He kept saying that he wanted to be there and that these players wanted to be there. But a lot of it was just about being able to figure out what exactly was the end game. Could they get enough players to stay? And if they could get enough players to stay, then all of a sudden you're dealing with a team that could be a top 25 team.
I know you might be out there.
Here we go.
First of all, Les Fifita, if you're out there, I know you might be out there. I enjoy texting back and forth with your father from time to time.
Yes, sir.
But I want to give you the ultimate compliment. You obviously know Greg Biggins from 24/7 Sports. Greg Biggins, for everybody out there, and he said this on my show 2 years ago, Greg Biggins has seen every West Coast quarterback for the last 35 years, all of them. And I asked him point blank. I said, we were talking about Noah Fifita, and I said, who's the quarterback you need to win a game, one drive, go 99 yards? Without blinking, without saying anything else, he said Noah Fifita. He said, I know what people might say. He says, I don't care. It would be Noah Fifita. It wouldn't be anybody else. This is the most esteemed recruiting guy on the entire West Coast. Have you always just been that dude? Be honest.
I give so much credit to Greg Biggins. He's kind of been a supporter since my sophomore year of high school, really. To be honest, my freshman year. Regardless of what was happening, he always supported me, and still to this day, he texts me from time to time. So much love, so much respect to Greg Biggins.
There's a fantastic article about you the other day through CBS and how you are in the top 7 nationally in terms of third down percentage efficiency, in terms of pressure efficiency, and then red zone efficiency. Like, again, as you came in last year, it just didn't seem like very much rattled you at all. Where did that come from in terms of your DNA and just being cool under pressure?
That's just kind of how my dad raised me. I give a lot of credit to my dad. He did a really good job kind of preparing me for those situations. And even when I was waiting my turn, he made sure I stayed prepared so that when my time came, I was ready. But so my dad and my preparation a lot, but also just kind of the people around me, my coaches and my teammates, they put me in a lot of positions to succeed. Kind of the play call, from the play calls to, I guess when you're in third down and red zone and you need a play to be made, it comes down to personnel. And when you have Jacob Cowing and T-Mac and Tanner McLaughlin and then Mike Wiley and Jonah Coleman, I mean, it makes my job easy. My job is literally just to give them the ball and let them do what they do. So much credit to the people around me.
All right, talk about the Stanford game. You go in there, Arizona's in a kind of a back-and-forth game. You go in there, Jaden DeLore gets a little bit of an injury, march him right down the field, get the touchdown, salt the game away. From an outsider's perspective, that you made easy work of all that and with your first real game action. Was that when you stepped on there? Was it just like, I'm ready for this?
Yeah, I mean, I mean that's kind of the moment I was dreaming of and preparing for it. And I hate the way it went down because I never want to see anybody, but especially like Jaden, one of my boys like Jaden, go down the way he did. But I mean, it goes from concern to now this is what you're dreaming of, and now you got to take advantage of the opportunity. So kind of going on the field and just having fun, playing the way I played my whole life, getting the ball to my receivers, letting them once again do what they do. Jacob Cowing, DJ Williams finished off the drive. So once again, the people around me made my job so easy.
We talk about all the great things, obviously. So I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit with something. What was a moment last year that you wish you could just get back? Like it just didn't work out. But
USC.
Yeah. I knew 100%.
You were gonna say that. USC. And everybody want to talk about Coach Fish's play call in overtime. We would have never been in that situation.
I loved it. It
would have never been. We would have never been in that situation if I don't throw the interception in the second quarter when we were up 17-0. They finally make a big play on offense, and then we get a fumble, and then I throw a pick to the 3-yard line. So that play, and then the play I made in second overtime, the 2-point conversion to Cowing where I underthrew him, that play still haunts me to this day.
When you look at some of your games where, because so many of your games were just awesome games, but there were even games too, like Colorado. Not a lot of people were like, man, that was Noah's first real freshman game. and you still came back and won. I mean, was it your freshman year? And I know you had a lot of talent, but let's be honest here, at the same stage, you still have to be able to deliver the ball. Was it as easy as it looked on film? Because you never break sweat, you never look rattled, you never lose your cool, or was this just something that you and your pops have been planning for a long time?
Now, this is something that me and my father been playing for a while, but I mean, no, it wasn't easy all the time. There was times it was tough. Colorado is probably the best example of that. And to be honest, the guy that got me through the Colorado game and kind of helped me reset was Jaden Delora. Coming off, played really bad the first 2 drives, came off, and Jaden's kind of the one that settled me down and helped me relax. And then obviously being able to lean on Jonah Coleman in the run game is special. I think he averaged 17 yards a carry that game. So it's like when you're doing that, it makes a quarterback job really easy. So, I mean, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, but I'm extremely blessed to have the people that I had.
I know we talk about just the transition between Fish and obviously Coach Brennan and how that all went down a million times. But what we don't really talk about too much is, what kind of conversations were you having with your family? In conjunction with all the other players that you're really close with and their families, and how much of a part of your decision did they play in you coming back?
There was a lot of conversations with my family, obviously. Obviously, my dad, talking to my dad a lot, and then I probably spent the whole week with T-Mac that week, and then we had player-run meetings with Coach Brennan. So I was kind of trying to talk to everybody that I could talk to, and my family, they allowed it to be my decision, and they gave me obviously their advice and what they thought. But at the end of the day, they allowed it to be my decision, and we made it as a team. You
guys announced you were coming back without an OC even being hired technically yet. That's a real leap of faith right there. What just talk about, I mean, Brent Brennan and the players, that must have really sold you, because a lot of people are going to say, well, I at least want to see what the OC is, and you guys jumped right back in.
Well, we didn't really want to wait. We wanted to make it official. We wanted to reassure the Tucson community, but also, more importantly, to just kind of solidify our roster to try to see if we announce we're staying, what guys can we keep. And to be honest, it wasn't about the offensive coordinator. It wasn't about the scheme. We believe that obviously Coach Babers is fantastic, and Coach Fish was fantastic last year, so scheme that plays a big part in it. But at the end of the day, the players are the ones on the field having to make plays. So for us, it was always, do we believe in the head coach? And we did. Big time. We believed in him from the moment we met him. And then the second thing was, can we keep our core guys? And once we answered those 2 questions, regardless of who the offensive coordinator was, we were excited to stay.
Outside of like Oregon and maybe Washington, there wasn't very many schools in the Pac-12 that just packed the stadium week in, week out, right? It's a different brand when you come over to the Big 12, and 6 of the teams 100% capacity all last season. What's it going to feel like when you're driving through cornfields and pastures, and all of a sudden the stadium pops up out of nowhere and there's 67,000 people just going crazy?
When you said that, I started thinking of Washington State last year. That stadium popped out of nowhere. But it's going to be awesome being able to play in a new conference. We know that some really good teams, obviously, but the environments we're going to play in are great. We have 5 away games, obviously, and all 5 games are going to be probably sold-out crowds, from Kansas State and Utah in week 3 and 4, and then we go to UCF for the space game, and then TCU and BYU show out regardless of how their team's doing. So we know that great opponents, great atmospheres, and then obviously probably what we're looking forward to most is our 7 home games at Arizona Stadium. We know our guys are going to show out. Zona Zoo, all of our fans and alumni are going to pack the stadium. So we're looking forward to it. August 31st can't come fast enough.
Who's your breakout player on the offense for who could possibly be the Noah Fifita of the 2024? Maybe not to that standard, but who's somebody that, or maybe even a couple players that people should keep an eye out for?
I don't want to spoil too much, but guys got some exciting things we got coming. Everybody knows about T-Mac.
Right.
Our running back room is going to be really good.
Yeah.
Seeing Jacory and Quali and them already playing is really good. But then on the defense side, obviously Jacob Manu special.
Yeah.
Traden Stoops and Takari Davis, probably the most underrated defensive backs in the country. But I mean, the guys I want to shout out is Malachi Riley. That's the guy. That's the guy who I'm looking forward to.
Calm down, Mike.
But,
calm down.
I mean, you can even go deeper. Our receiver room is so deep this year, and people don't even really realize it, but fall camp is gonna be really fun. From T-Mac to Malachi Riley, Montana, Ray Mello and Jeremiah Patterson just transferred in. They look really good. Rex Haynes, AJ Jones, Chris Hunter had a really good spring. So you can go down the list. Brandon Phelps is special. He has a little swag to him. I love watching him play. So our receiver room is extremely good.
I just want to say this is going to be my last thing before you take off. But I've been around U of A for my whole life. I've been a big fan. But what you guys did this year was really special because especially in today's day and age with the NIL, the constant movement of people, you just don't see athletes and players stay as a family and stick together like you guys did. And I just want to commend you and T-Mac and the whole group, Jacob. You guys did a phenomenal job, and this community really rallies behind you. You guys are stand-up individuals, man. I've never spoken to you face-to-face before, but yeah, listen, man, there's a lot of pride that comes through, especially from our audience. They just absolutely love you guys. And you guys are a unique breed of individual, and it's a blessing to have you here for sure.
I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Like I said, special family, special player, and whenever I think of you, I always think of that Greg Biggins quote.
Yes, sir.
Because, so again, man, we really appreciate you and your time, bro.
All right. Some people in life just get it. Noah Fifita gets it. Many times in life, I am very wrong about things. Noah Fifita is one of my rare victories, Jason Scheer. At this time last year, I was telling you that they should start Noah Fifita. You vehemently disagreed with me.
No, I just thought it wasn't time yet. You wanted it to be time ASAP. I'm proud of you for shouting out my guy Biggins. He's been number one in that Fifita support group. Does that make sense? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and it's funny because I don't mean this in an insulting way at all. But someone was like, wow, like Noah's shorter than you, Mike. And like, it makes it even that much more impressive, right? Like he's not big by any means. And in a way, it actually adds to the lore because he's doing what he's doing. And he's probably one, if not the shortest starting quarterback in Power 5, right?
I've never seen a smaller quarterback in starting five or Power 5 period. And that's what just makes it even more astounding and speaks to how special he is. Now, there were two people in Las Vegas that found out they were shorter than me. The other one was Anthony Totri. Anthony Totri was telling people he was taller than me. We stood next to it. Nice try, Totri.
I think Totri's like 5. Like the real question, Mike, would be who's taller between Noah and Totri?
Ooh, I'm gonna say Noah's taller than Totri.
Yeah, like I think that's much closer. You were taller than Totri, but like an inch and a half.
Yeah. All right, now we also need to talk about Malachi Riley, my friend.
Okay.
Now listen,
I'm gonna give you credit before you start. I'm just gonna give you credit right off the bat. It was the first person out of Noah's mouth, T-Mac's mouth, and when we asked Brennan about receivers, he said Malachi Riley is going to be awesome, basically, and then kind of went down the line with others. It is very clear that this offensive side of the ball thinks Malachi Riley is the breakout guy. There you go.
Keep going.
Come here.
Yeah, give me a kiss. Keep going.
Come here right now.
But no, it was awesome. I also thought it was very interesting too about how he said that Brent Brennan, he immediately sold him. That we were around him, and then he said, we decided to come back for another day after that. And he's like, he just answered all of our questions. He just seemed like a good dude. And he said everything's been awesome. By the way, I still think it's amazing that players of that stature committed to a team or committed to a coach that didn't have an OC in place. That to me is still one of the craziest things about loyalty that I've ever heard of, Scheer.
Yeah, I mean, and it just shows like. It is very rare, right? A lot of kids don't choose schools for coaches anymore. For programs anymore. They don't do it. They choose it for money. They have a relationship with the coach, and they just follow that coach where they go. These guys chose U of A for U of A. Like, that's why they chose to stay. And I'm not trying to take away anything from Brennan, but even he said it in media day. He said, look, it was these guys, like Jonas Savanea and those guys got together. I tried to talk to him and all that, but at the end of the day, it's these guys that came together and made the decision to stay at Arizona.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think in the grand scheme of things that Chicken and Pickle played any role in this?
I would assume a very high role.
All right. Now, a big part of the Chicken Pickle thing is that everybody knows how great Chicken and Pickle is. But it also can be a place where the cool guys go, obviously, and sometimes the Jacob Franklins of the world do not invite other people to hang out at Chicken and Pickle. So we have to admire Chicken and Pickle from afar. But we were able to do just that. Check out Chicken and Pickle, eat, drink, play pickleball. This sounds like a Tommy Lloyd type place, Jason Scheer, Chicken and Pickle. No, this is true.
I asked him if he's been there, and he said not yet, but he was going to go. It's on the list.
He is fully aware of Chicken and Pickle, just as I think everybody out there is. We would have liked to have been aware that evening, but Jacob Franklin said, nope, shoo, and he did not allow us to go there. But don't be like us. Don't be like Jacob Franklin. Head on over to chickenandpickle.com to see all the fun you can have at their Glendale location. Chicken and Pickle, all kinds of really, really good stuff. When you play Chicken and Pickle, you know that you're going to have a very good time. Scheer, this is very true.
Yeah. Look, anytime you get chicken and pickle together, it's a fun time.
I think this is something that our good friend Ben One White would like very much as well. But we know one thing we do know about Ben One White is that he very much likes Circle K.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk Circle K here for a second. Circle K. I saw the vaunted Circle K, where there are two Circle Ks that are across the street from each other. Now, one thing that was interesting, there were 2 cents cheaper Circle K on one side of the street. Maybe that's their way of like their little East Coast, West Coast war going on with Circle K. But either way, great stuff. And we also stopped by in one in Goodyear, Scheer, that was very tasty, very scrumptious as well, Jason Scheer.
And on the way home, we realized that Circle K had declared war on QT, and we stopped at Circle K.
We went, yes, there was a big one. They were right across the street from each
other.
Right
across the street.
And we went to the Circle K, and we didn't even bat an eye. And guess what? Big reason why was because we joined the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Maybe you'll see the great Erica Day at Circle K, or the great Jacob Franklin, the very tall Jacob Franklin. You can't miss him, the beanpole that walks into Circle K. Check it out. Okay, now let's move over to the defensive side of the football a little bit. Now, listen, on this show, and one thing I've been telling Scheer is that Scheer has become a massive national entity at this point. But I have told Scheer a couple different times, the one thing that he's got to be able to do is to be able to admit that every now and then he is wrong on things. People like that, very much like that. And by the way, Kevin WN, I'm having a slight bit of an audio problem. That is why I'm not quite as normal. But let's hear from Gunnar Maldonado, my friend. And let's talk a little bit Gunnar Maldonado, Mike Luke apologizing to him. Look at Gunnar's face. We're now joined by one of the leaders of the entire 2024 Arizona football team, the great Gunnar Maldonado. Now, Gunnar, I have to apologize
You're
to you.
damn right he does, because he got slandered too much last year for our liking.
I apologize. Now, we put it out on Twitter many, many times. The hashtag MyBadGunnar movement is in full effect. Gunnar, you are much better, and you are absolutely fantastic. You were a huge part of what Arizona did last year, and I salute emoji you, my friend.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah. Boom. That's what we do around here. We bridge the divide. We tell people that, you know what, it's okay to admit you're wrong. But joking aside, Gunnar Maldonado was absolutely fantastic. And he's going to be a huge part of this team. Also talking with a coach behind the scene that may or may not coach him. He said that Gunnar Maldonado, he said if Gunnar Maldonado has an all-conference caliber year, which he said he's very capable of, you know that the defense did its job, and it's on that coach to be able to put that Gunnar Maldonado. Gunnar Maldonado is very, very much a key part to what Arizona needs to do here, Jason Scheer.
Yeah, such a great dude. Really good dude. Very, excited about Arizona. Yeah, it's important, and I asked him, when you look at the strength of the position units as a whole, I would put Arizona's safety group up against anyone's.
Really? In the country, I would too.
Yeah, they were raving about Genesis Smith. Like, they think Genesis Smith is going to be awesome. Gunnar, Dalton, Genesis, they brought in some guys. Like, this is a really, really good group, and they loved Dwayne Aquina. I asked Gunnar about Dwayne. I said, are you surprised at his energy? He said, yeah, like, it's crazy, for an old white guy, right? He's got crazy energy. But, yeah, I mean, Gunnar's cool. Gunnar's just a cool dude.
Gunner's a cool dude. I also don't know that Gunner's really on social media because I don't know that Gunner knows that everybody thought that he was no good for the first half of the year. And now that he knows that that everybody thinks he's awesome, I don't know if Gunnar Maldonado knows about the ebbs and flows. Now, I will say this, Erica L. Day definitely never jumped off the Gunnar Maldonado bandwagon. This is true, Scheer.
Erica is the driver of the bandwagon.
We actually might have a video we'll play tomorrow of Gunnar Maldonado wishing a very happy day to Erica L. Day. Also, we got a super snap coming in. Super snaps everywhere. Jacob Franklin was very welcoming to my wife at Chicken and Pickle. Awesome guy. Jake, here's what Jacob Franklin does from time to time. He hops in here and he goes in under an alias and then he donates $5 and then says that, watch this, I'm going to give Jacob Franklin some kudos. I'm just kidding. He doesn't actually do that, but he's a good guy. We like Jacob Franklin a great deal. All right, now let's get back to the defense then a little bit. Jacob Manu, that is another one that you talk about just instincts that are basically next to none. Another dude, you sit next to him and you're like, whoa, man, you look like me. And he certainly doesn't play like him. He was asked about it, and he said the next step for him is to be able to continue to make plays in the backfield. He said when he was a freshman, he felt that he did really well, but he didn't make enough, he said, in his mind, impactful plays. And last year, 6 sacks, a lot of tackles for loss. I asked him about it, and he's like, honestly, man, I want to get double-digit sacks. And that would be something amazing for a 5'9", 210-pound linebacker. But I mean, I don't know that he's incapable of it, Scheer.
And Dwayne Aquina, they're going to be aggressive. That's the one thing every defensive player told me yesterday. Brennan told me they're going to be a more aggressive defense. Yeah, like I think he's going to make more plays in the backfield. I absolutely do. And he's another guy. You look at him, it's like it's just like there were dudes yesterday, like, and let me get this straight. Like, he is better than most linebackers in the Big 12. There's just something about these dudes, right? Like, he's not 6'3", he doesn't run a 4.3, but he makes plays.
What's amazing about this whole team, and we're gonna show the T-Mac and Brennan interview tomorrow. I wanted to space them out a little bit, but I asked T-Mac, I said, when you were at Servite High School and you said you had Noah, you had Manu, you had Kian, you had Mason Graham, did you know that you were going to have like 4 first-round picks there, 4 All-Americans? And he's like, well, he says, in all fairness, he says, I'm not going to put myself in the category with Mason Graham, who is the defensive tackle at Michigan. He said, who was also at Servite with them. He said, that's the best player in the country. These guys' humbleness is real. And it borderline annoys me in a good way, because I want somebody to say, yes, I had a really good year and I need to continue to build on that. Everything is about somebody else, which is a good thing. I do not know that I would be that I would show that kind of character. Sure. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't show that kind of character. And they mean it too. That's the wild thing about all of this.
You would show that character. Don't put yourself down. You're a man of character, Mike.
By the way, look who's just entered the chat. We were talking about this earlier, Mr. Anthony Totri. You suffered a big loss.
I like that nickname for you, though.
Meaty Mike Luke?
Meaty Mike Luke.
No, Anthony Totri was trying to tell people that he was taller than me. Nice try, Anthony Totri. Nice try. Get out of here with all of that. Nice try. And Totri didn't want to take a ride home with us either. So
you know what? Totri's lucky, though, because we had Dillingham right by us, and we were about to ask him the question.
Yeah.
And someone interrupted us.
Yeah. So it's a good thing.
Lucky, Totri.
It's a good thing Totri got out when he did. Sometimes discretion is the higher form of
Dillingham pisses me off, though.
We're going to get to Dillingham. We'll get to Dillingham. Okay. But now let's get back to this Arizona. Let's get back to this Arizona football team. I believe that Arizona is going to win the conference. I talked with a guy from Kansas State, who, first of all, by the way, and I know I'm not supposed to go all over the place. I do apologize, but this was in my notes.
You never do this.
The Utah ESPN, I think 700, has a very interesting breakdown of some U of A players. So they were right behind us, and they seemed like swell chaps. But he's talking about Dorian Singer, and he continuously talked about, he said, this guy, Dorian Singer, that we got from Arizona via USC, he said, he's the guy, he gets the ball, and man, he makes 50 people miss, and then he's scoring a touchdown. And I'm listening to myself thinking, I'm like, no, it's the exact opposite, actually. He has really good ball skills, and he doesn't make people miss. They do not know what they're talking about.
Yeah, he has no after the catch skills whatsoever.
Yes.
He just catches the ball, and that's the end of the route.
Which is a good thing, but I did think that was interesting.
Yeah, it's
but,
funny.
So a Kansas State guy was we were chatting for a little while. And he told me, he said, yeah, I've been watching you guys a little bit. And I said, well, thanks, man. And I appreciate it. Yes. And he said, he goes, you know, I didn't want to really say it, but he says, I think if Avery Johnson isn't, as good as we think it is, he says, I think Arizona is going to be the best team in the conference. And I was like, oh. And I told him, I said, hey, how about this? How about Avery Johnson is as good as you think he is, and Arizona is still the best team in the conference? That's where I said it. But then we had a couple different people, a couple national folks that said that they thought that Arizona is underrated. I do believe Arizona is underrated in all of this. I really do, Scheer.
I talked to an ASU guy that we both know, and he said, who'd you pick to win the conference? And I said, Arizona. And he goes, yeah. And I was like, I know. And he goes, no. He goes, I get it.
Was it Totri?
It was not Totri. But, yeah, I mean, I was surprised Utah. I guess, look, if Cam Rising's healthy, when we've talked about this before, if Cam Rising's healthy, I think Utah's probably the favorite. I do. But I don't know if Cam Rising's healthy. There's a difference between, and, he's done well in the spring, but Whittingham said he didn't get hit once. And he's not going to get hit once in the fall. So what happens when he gets hit in a real game and someone falls into his knee or something?
Yes. Also, by the way, who was also who Noah talked about before he came on camera and who he talked about off camera as well? Isaiah Johnson, my friends. We're going to talk about him more tomorrow. Defensive tackle for the U of A. We've talked a lot about the line. He said, listen, man, he says, this dude's a playmaker, and you're going to see it this year. You and I have been intrigued by Isaiah Johnson, defensive tackle out of Chandler, for quite a while, Scheer. This is true.
He's big, and, I mean, he is strong. He is a very, very strong dude. I thought he was going to play last year. He's just kind of battled injuries and some other things. But if he's healthy, he's going to be a very big part. If he stays healthy and you got some other stuff, like the interior of the defensive line is going to be much better than people think. And Brennan went out of the way to say, look, just to let you guys know, we think Ty is going to have a really, really good season.
Oh, that was brought up. I'm actually fairly bullish on the defensive line. I'm very, again, we're going to get to the double Del bacon burger here in a second, and we need to give the background on how all of this happened. This will probably get me in some trouble with some U of A fans, but it was such a special occurrence that I do not care. We will advocate for this. All right, now, tomorrow, though, we're going to talk a lot about T-Mac. We're going to talk a lot about Brennan. With T-Mac, though, I think there's one thing that we definitely need to put out there is that T-Mac's foot, like whether it was on camera, off camera, T-Mac says, I'm ready. And there was he said, I'm ready to go. And so if that's the case, I expect a big year out of T-Mac.
Yeah. And I want to be clear, don't get freaked out if he doesn't get hit in fall camp or he doesn't go full out in fall camp for the first week. There's no point. I mean, they're going to protect players like that because if God forbid something happens to T-Mac, Arizona's in trouble, right? It's not screwed, but it's in pretty big trouble, right? But yeah, I mean, the thing that's crazy is I was like, how do you build on last year? And T-Mac's like, I don't even think I had a good season last season.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Oh, okay. Like, sure. So we'll see what a good season looks like.
He was also telling me as well, and listen, I've lived all this. He was telling me that I said, you are the best wide receiver in school history. This is understood. And he says, oh, no, I'm not. And he says, and I was like, you're really going to go Dennis Northcutt? Because that's who I always had. And he said, it's Bobby Wade. And with all due respect to Bobby Wade, Dennis Northcutt was better than him. But he said, I told Bobby Wade that I'm coming for it, and you better get used to being number 2.
Yeah, he said that to me too.
I
said, do you give Bobby Wade crap? And he goes, yeah, first thing I said is you better get used to being number 2. And I got to say, T-Mac opened up a little bit yesterday. Yeah. It was good. It was refreshing to see. Usually he's pretty guarded with us, but he opened up. He was joking around. It was fun.
All right. It was a really, really good time. Also, we've got to give a massive shout out to the people behind the scenes. And again, we're going to get into a little bit of Keyshot here in a second, but we're bringing in the great Jacob Franklin for a minute. This is true. Jacob Franklin said he would hop in for a couple minutes. He is shaking his head right now, which I guess he's fine.
Why?
All right. I got to give Jacob Franklin a lot of credit here. Jacob Franklin, the people that you have trained are top notch. Normally, I kid around and I make a mockery out of everything, including myself. But listen, with the job that Shane Diefenbach and Eric Ruby did, it was amazing. I'll be honest with you, I was super, super nervous. I worked a really hard time to get Yormark with the exclusive behind the scenes. Be ready. These dudes were fantastic. They are a reflection of your work ethic, Jacob Franklin. We very much appreciate you and them.
Yeah, they're top notch. I mean, there's nothing else to say other than that. Those two guys, they crush it on a daily basis.
As the kids would say, they're elite.
Sure. I'm not a kid anymore.
All right, Jacob. Wow. Jacob's tired, but Jacob, I'm
not a kid anymore.
Sometime in the next month and a half, Jacob has promised a whole episode with us. Well, that's called a tease. But Jacob, commit to this right now, please.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Wow. You're dismissed. You're dismissed. Thank you. All right. Now, we need to get it. This is going to get me in a lot of trouble here. I do not care because it made me laugh. Here's what happened. We get to Big 12 Media Day, and Dilly's going around saying, "Where's the dweeb that promised me the cheeseburger?" And I'm thinking to myself, it's a mile and a half away. It's going to look stupid. And then somebody told me, dude, just Uber Eats it here. So we have the video now of me delivering the Double Del cheeseburger from Del Taco to Kenny Dillingham. We are going to play this right now. This is big. All right. We've got the vaunted Double Del Bacon Del Taco cheeseburger. This was promised, and it was delivered as promised to the great Kenny Dillingham. He said that he would eat it. This is what we're about. Now, be honest, though. Be honest. I
mean, I don't want to.
You don't. Yeah. It's not filet mignon. I mean,
I mean, it's. Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah. No.
It's probably the best thing I've ever had.
This is what we're about here. This is where we bridge the divide from Tempe to Tucson.
Oh, I disagree.
Yes, exactly. Coach, very good work. We very much appreciate it. People said it couldn't be done. It was done, Scheer. You saw it. What say you about that impactful video? No, this is not true, Robert Garetano. Robert Garetano is fibbing. He said
he actually gave it to the SID, and the SID also took a bite.
Yes, and the SID. What did the SID say?
Wasn't bad.
And that's what I think, and that's what you go for in there. And Dan Wolkin thought he was going to make fun of me by quote tweeting this and saying that he says, yeah, that's really what I go for with the, and I was like, Dan Wolkin, you do not understand. You have not had.
Know your role and shut your mouth.
Yes, exactly. Know your role, Dan Wolkin. But anyways, Dilly, like I said, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate on this. I do not care. That video makes me laugh, and I will continue to watch that video, Scheer. You were going to say something about Dilly.
Yeah, it's hard to dislike him. It's annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I wish I would hate him, but it's difficult. You can hate the team. It's just super difficult to hate Dilly.
Now let's talk about somebody that is easy to hate. Deion Sanders takes the stage at Big 12 Media Day, and well, what are your thoughts on Deion, man? Just from what you saw, he came in with the whole. He came in with everything. What are your thoughts on Deion?
I didn't think he was that bad. I didn't think he was too crazy. I was expecting worse, to be honest. There were a couple things he said where he's like, "What does culture mean?" And then I kind of understood what he was trying to say, and that like the word culture gets kind of just thrown around. And yeah, I mean, there were a couple things he said where it's like, calm down. But I get it. The one thing I think that he does that kind of gets him in trouble a little bit is he overhypes. Like he creates an unreal expectation. Like Trevor Woods, he could be very good. The move to linebacker could be great for him. He literally stood there in front of the media on ESPN and was like, yeah, he's the next Brian Urlacher. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yes. I mean, it's like, yeah, you're putting the kind of unfair expectations on people. He also said that his son said that we're everybody's Super Bowl. Arizona then won the Super Bowl last year. Little known fact.
Yeah. That was stupid. Like, we know we're everyone's Super Bowl. It's like, come on, man. You won 4 games. Like,
now, normally I don't get into this silly stuff, but we're going to talk tomorrow with Scheer. He's coming on as well tomorrow. We are going to talk about mascots a little bit tomorrow as well. Normally, I don't really care about mascots.
This isn't silly.
But there are some really good Big 12 mascots. There are some ones that are very impressive. Now, listen, Scheer became overnight friends with Jay. Jay came over to Scheer, and basically we spent the whole ride home yesterday when I wasn't passing gas talking about Jay. This is true.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Jay the Jayhawk seems like just a great dude, just an example for the children, for sure. I very much like the Central Florida. I still don't know what it is exactly. I like Nitro, though. Nitro seems very cool.
Yep, Nitro, the frog. I'm telling you, there was a strong match. There were a few we're a little iffy on. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Right.
Kind of scary.
Yes.
In a way.
I will say this. I like Kansas State fans a great deal. That mascot does nothing for me, though.
Right. It's like me with a mask on.
It's a guy walking around with a helmet on. Jacob Franklin, by the way, can we I don't need anything special for tomorrow, but can we have just a picture of all the mascots? We will be doing something where we talk about this. Yes. All right. But like I said, all kinds of very, very good stuff. Very much appreciate you. Also, we are going to talk recruiting tomorrow as well. Arizona football. No stopping here. Arizona football got some very good recruits. Keyshawn Johnson is, let's see here. Who said that earlier? I'm going to scroll back up. I always want to give credit to who. Five of a Kind Media, the great Five of a Kind Media says Keyshawn is killing it in summer league. Agreed. Scheer, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really read too much in the summer league because it's obviously different quality, but he's playing about as well as he can, and I think Miami likes him.
All right. Now, we do agree, though, when we get back to the mascots, listen, Sparky's a devil. Sparky's not a good mascot. But there are a couple ones that I'm a little iffy on. By the way, the Texas Tech Red Raider fan base, they have a very strong affinity for their mascot. So we will be very careful in our critiques of the Texas Tech Raider mascot.
Yes, we have to be very careful. Also, in that video with Totri, he just pulled out a gun right away. So yes, you got to be Big 12's a little different. Big 12's a little different.
Maybe Totri went up to him and told him he was taller than him when he really wasn't. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just speculating. So on that note, though, no better time to become PHNX diehard, my friends. Check it out. Become a PHNX diehard. All kinds of delectable items, many scrumptious options, just like there was at Big 12 Media Day. Also, our good pal Erica L. Day has a show today at 6:00. I will be on there for a little bit before I have to hop on. I got some other stuff I got to do tonight, but I will be there as well. So check it out. But Scheer, where can they find you doing your work?
WildcatAuthority.com, Wildcat Scoop podcast with Shelby at Jason Scheer on Twitter.
All right. Now,
whatever.
I am Mike Luke. You know where to find me. We will be back with you tomorrow at 10:30. Scheer will not be late this time. Now, for the great Jacob Franklin behind the scenes, very much appreciate Jacob Franklin. Also, Circa. That place is fantastic. I very much enjoyed staying there. I am a big fan of refrigerators. I am also a big fan of bathrooms that have 2 sinks. So I was able to keep an eye on myself, on all the mirrors in the bathroom the entire time. Scheer, I felt very good about this.
Mike likes to watch himself go to the bathroom, so the Circa was perfect for him.
But there were many options that were great there. And the swimming pool, my friends, very, very exquisite. Yeah. It made me, there's nothing cool about me, but when I walked out to the swimming pool, I felt cool. That's how cool it was. Big shout out to Circa. But like I said, with all those people there, all these people at Big 12 Media Day, very much appreciate all of you. Jacob Franklin, you're the man. All right, all the comments, you guys are great. We will be back with you tomorrow, 10:30. But again, lots to get to. Bear down, back the A, back the J, and back the AZ Wildcats podcast. We'll be back with you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.